Okay, so here I'm going to be showing how to make a bunch of gold as a protection warrior and also do some dailies at the same time. This is the last dailies that I like to do when I do my route, and I've already done my other dailies today. I've made 300 gold already, as well as this stuff, which I'll be showing how to do in a different video. I'll show the route that I used to make 300 gold in an hour of work. But for this, we're not going to do all the dailies here. We're only going to pick up From Their Corpses Rise, and we're going to pick up this guy's daily, Intelligence Gathering. And then I'm going to swap to Revenge Spec and then reload so my gold counter resets. And also, this stuff here is from doing my other dailies, so it's not going to be included in the ending count of what I get for an hour of farming here. So I've just reloaded and I've switched over to Revenge Spec. You can do this as any spec, but I think it goes quickest as Revenge. And we're just going to pick up those two dailies and then fly over here to the Scarlet Onslaught area, Onslaught Harbor. So for the first pull, I'm just going to fly down here, group up all these mobs outside the cathedral, and then I'm going to run them to the inside of the cathedral. Some of them might range out and run back to the front of the cathedral, depending on how far you run, but it doesn't really matter if you miss one or two mobs. But you just want to group them all up here in LOS behind this door, so that the spellcasters run to you and it's a nice big group. And then you're just going to start killing them, cleaving them down, revenging them and such. You can spell reflect here, and you can also do thunderclap and demo show, minimize the damage and reduce the time you spend eating. Then you're just going to kill this and loot them. Going into the second pull here, we're just going to pull the 2 packs in this room. We don't want to pull the farthest pack to the back of the room because that guy is an elite and he will kill you if you're solo. So we just pull this first group on the left and then back group and then run them around this wall so the caster's LOS and it's a nice big clump and it's the same thing. On the way out, there's sometimes extra mobs that will aggro to you. They're just ones that didn't get included in the earlier pull for whatever reason. Sometimes it's a Griffin Rider, sometimes it's a Paladin, and sometimes it's guys at the bottom of the steps. So here I am just going around and killing them, cleaning them up before I go to the next section. So for the next part of this farm, after the cathedral, I mount up and I fly over to this cave. There's 3 packs here. I'm going to body pull that one. I'm going to heroic throw this next one. That's the farthest. And I'm going to run in the cave and body pull the one in the cave. I'm going to run around the side of the cave so the spellcasters group up. You can't really get a perfect clump of spellcasters here because the LOS is just not as good as inside the cathedral. But as you see, I just move the melee into the spellcasters here and I start cleaving them down. And it's another just kill, cleave, and loot. From here, I'm going to mount up and I'm going to fly over to where the bridges meet, and there's a little castle structure. And I'm just going to group up the mobs here and kill them. So notice where I'm standing here, I drag him over to behind this bridge because standing behind this bridge makes the spellcasters LOS. And it makes them all come in a nice clump in front of you. Jumping in the water also works. I just don't like jumping in the water because it makes you have to go to land before you can mount up after the pull. Now for the next pull, if you're doing this strictly just for gold per hour, you probably don't want to do this pull, you just go straight back to the cathedral, but since we're doing this for dailies at the same time, I like to run over here because there's a lot of chests that you have to open over here, and you can also use your concoction or whatever it's called to raise the ghouls on the corpses over here without it interfering with your future pulls at the cathedral. So this is just optional if you're doing the dailies like I am. If you're not doing the dailies, just go straight back to the cathedral after killing the ones on the bridge. Here's the first instance of where, depending on what type of player you are, you might call a disadvantage. When I think about gold per hour specifically, I'd call it a disadvantage that this is an open world farm, because there's a warlock running around right here and he's screwing up the pack that I want to pull next. And although it's great to see other people in the world, I'm about the gold per hour, you know, so I would call it a disadvantage of this farm. But if you're one of the people that like to interact with other people in the world and whatnot, then this is a farm that is for you, because this is like a perfect open world spot with fast respawns and whatnot. But every once in a while you'll have a guy come over and mess up the pack that you wanted to pull. And of course, as you see in the video, I just skip the pack that's on the cathedral steps and I just go to the next spot in the route, which is inside the cathedral. And if you skip too many packs, you might get to the spot where you're going to pull something that hasn't fully respawned yet. But most of the time it's fine to skip one pack, and you shouldn't really be that ahead of the respawns by too much. And now I'm back at the cave and everything is fully respawned, so it didn't really matter that that guy was interrupting my cathedral pull. But if you were doing the strictly gold per hour route and you don't go to the spot where I do my dailies, then it might be a problem for you because this pack might not have respawned yet. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking about doing this farm. So from here on, it's just more of me doing the lap and going around and around as I do my dailies and I do the pulls and whatnot. But I'm going to show you something here where I eventually realized that I was really low on food because I hadn't restocked before starting doing this farm. And at first I go back to where the quest givers are, and I realize that there's no food vendor there, so I go all the way back to Shadow Vault, and I get my food there, but then I have to fly back, and the whole thing takes maybe like 5 minutes of my time. And I actually include that into the time that I spent farming, and I still make a lot of gold per hour at the end of this. So I just want to show you that you can forget simple things like this and still make a lot of gold per hour at this farm if you do it efficiently enough to make up for your mistakes. And of course, in a perfect world, you wouldn't make the mistakes in the first place. So once I get back, I just keep doing my dailies, looking for the intelligence documents and opening the boxes, of course, and then I go back to my cathedral pulls, go to my cave pull, so on and so forth. I'm going to speed this up, and then at the end, I'll show you my gold per hour. So at this point, I finished my dailies. I'm flying back to the quest givers now. I'm gonna turn it in, and then I'm gonna hearth to Dalaran and sell all my junk, and then count up the extra loot that we got, because a bunch of the stuff that drops here can go onto the auction house and can be quite profitable to sell, such as the Frostweave cloth and the greens. So I'm back in Dalaran now after farming for only 40 minutes, because that's how long it took me to complete the quest. You could keep going and do this farm without doing the dailies. I just choose to only farm it as long as it takes to do the dailies. But for what I got, let's see, we've got 1 green, 2 green, 3 greens, 4 greens, 5 greens, 6 greens, 7 greens, 8, 9. Everything in this dragonhide bag is what I got from farming. Everything over here is what I did for my other dailies, so they don't count. But we got 9 greens, and we're going to average them out to 5 gold each, even though some of these you can sell to a vendor rather than disenchanting, but just for the sake of accuracy and because the prices vary depending on your realm. I'll say each green is worth 5 gold. So that's 45 gold in greens on top of, we'll say, 5 gold a stack of nether weave, and we've got 3.5 stacks. So that's 17.5 gold here. This scroll of strength, that you can sell these or not, so I'm just gonna not count it. And we'll say the same for healing potion. We'll say 60 silver, and then we'll say a runic mana potion is a gold. So that's quite a lot on top of the gold that we already got. We made 116 gold after vendor and graze. Made roughly like 60 gold and some change off greens. And of course this is going to be more or less depending on your realm, but I just averaged them out to say that a green is 5 gold and nether weave cloth is 5 gold a stack, even though on your realm it might be more than that. So this is quite a good way to make gold at the same time as doing your dailies, and watch out for a future video where I'm going to show my route that I use to do my dailies and make 300 gold in an hour.